Hey everyone, thanks for coming in and watching my video. My name is Rachel Slife. I am a natural nail technician and specialize in non-toxic and organic ways to treat common hand, foot, and nail problems. If you want to follow me on social, here are all my social media handles. And if you like this content, I hope you subscribe and click that bell for notifications for when I drop my next video. In today's video, we're going to go through a pedicure where one of her toenails, as you could see there, was quite twisted and thick. Some people call it a pincer nail, some people call it a trumpet nail. I'm going to call it a pincer nail for this video, because I think more people are familiar with that term. So today, it's a longer video, and there's a lot of debridement that I do, so stay tuned for all of that. I have a couple of things towards the end of the video where I want to show you what I maybe could have done better or done differently to get a different result. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. As with most of my pedicures, I start dry and try and clear off the bulk of the cuticle before I put them in the foot bath. And I think I probably would continue to do that with this case. However, I probably should have considered soaking her a little bit more earlier on because of what I came up against later on. So you'll see how much this nail just keeps on giving. So it is, it's a giver, not a taker. This second toe, it has a little bit of a pincer deformity starting as well. There's some thickness and it's sort of pinching up like a roof peak. And so I'm going to go back and thin this nail out quite a bit. But we aren't sure as to what may have brought it on. I discussed with her a little bit about the shoes that she wears and whether or not she was wearing the angled shoes where her toes kind of squish together or not. And she says that no. But I mean, these types of things happen over a long period of time, so she could have had stuff that she wore years ago, high heels or something like that, where it did kind of start the process. But I guess it doesn't really matter at this point because she doesn't wear anything like that now, and so the pressure from the outside forces are not an issue in general. This nail has been an issue for a couple of years for her. It curls around so that the left side there is almost facing the opposite direction. That's how far it curls. And you'll see when I start digging around in there how much it curls. She's been clipping at it herself to try and alleviate the pain for a number of months, probably years. And it's gotten worse as she's been clipping it. So that can happen. Some more deformity to a nail can happen if you don't know how to clip something appropriately. And so we discuss what her options are for getting the curl to relax and come back into like a normal shape and I'll discuss more about that later. Here I've switched bits. I'm now using my carbide bit to reduce some of the bulk on this nail, and I'll use it on the great toenail as well. This just is a lot faster than the diamond bit. The diamond bit is great for smoothing and exfoliating, but not great for reducing bulk. So I use the carbide bit to do that. And just very cautious with how much I use it though, because it can create a lot of heat. So I'm constantly checking in with my client to make sure that she's feeling okay. So I just took a peek at the tip of the nail to see how thick it really was, because I don't want to take off too much nail because you don't want to make it super, super thin and fragile. But you want to take off enough bulk where you can then clip it and file it and work or with it as much as you can without causing pain to the client. I'm going in the forward direction and at a speed of about 13 to 14,000 RPMs. And you'll notice that there are some times where if I don't keep it moving, it really drills into the nail and a big curl of nail comes off. And that's something you want to be careful of. You don't want that to happen because it can easily go into the nail bed and damage the nail bed if you aren't careful. So I'm trying to be super light with how much I'm actually touching the nail, and that's why it seems like I'm going over the nail 100 million times, because I'm not putting much pressure into the nail bit at all, because I don't want to risk hurting the client and her nail. In all honesty, I probably should have stopped at this point with the debulking and put her in the foot soak, but I didn't, because when you're looking at the nail in person, there is still quite a bit of thickness to the nail. But when you start seeing that pinkness showing through, then that's a good indicator that you're probably getting closer to the nail bed, and you can go ahead and stop. She said that she had fungus in her nails, and I honestly don't know if she does. Possibly she might in the edges of this nail on the right hand side. There is a little bit of discoloration and there's some kind of flaking underneath the nail, but I'm not I'm not sold on the idea that she definitely has a fungus, but we did play it safe and we're treating her nail as if she does, just in case, because we don't want that spreading. So after checking with my client to see if she had any allergies, I'm using some 42% urea gel to soak into these first two nails to try and soften them a little bit while I work on the other foot. As you can see, this other foot looks pretty good. No nail deformities. She has some white patches on a couple of her nails, and it turns out that she likes to leave nail polish on quite a long time. So we're going to see if the spots go away after maintenance and buffing the oil in, and hopefully they do. All of her nails were pretty hard and thick, so I'm just using the emery board to smooth out some of the ridging. You'll see later on the great toe I come back with the emery board and try and smooth it out. There are quite a bit of bumps and imperfections on the surface of her nail plate, and I like doing these videos because it's kind of like watching footage from like a football game or something. You know, you want to go back and see what you did wrong or what you could have done better. And so I think I should have, instead of used the emery board, to go back with the e-file and smooth out the nail plate when I was first doing the cuticles, because it ends up being a bigger job than I anticipated when I was using the emery board. This is how I always used to debulk nails, using an emery board. And I remember going to, I had a client ask me to come by her father's house. He was elderly and not able to reach his toes, and they were looking pretty bad. So I went and did a pedicure at his house, and I was on the floor, and I was working on his feet for almost 2 hours, and I worked up such a sweat because I was having to debulk these crazy thick nails using just an emery board. So I am grateful that the e-file came into my life because it makes the job so much easier. So this kind of takes me back to my old days doing everything by hand. So I edited this kind of out of order. I've already worked on the other side, but I edited it so that it started with on this side. This side's been soaking, and I'm just gonna go back and clean out the side walls and get all that dead skin and debris out of there. And then we'll go back to the other side, and you'll see all of the other stuff I do for that nail. This nail has a little start of an ingrown toenail. There's a little spicule in there that I have to get out, and it likes to hide underneath, so it takes a little bit of time to actually get in there and get it all. As you can see on this side, the toes with the white patches have mostly buffed off, so I'm still not entirely sure at this point whether I'm dealing with a fungus or just nail dryness. But you'll see after I apply oil what happens to those white patches. This particular client had a lot of peeling skin on her legs. She had gotten a lot of sun, and her legs were just peeling in layers, so that's why I was spending a lot more time up on her lower leg than I was on the foot in the beginning there. The bottom of her feet are looking actually pretty okay. They don't have much in the way of calluses at all. And now we're back onto the trouble side. This foot has been soaking for probably 15 minutes or so, so there's going to be a lot, and I mean a lot, of debris. So hang tight, you're going to have a lot to ooh and ah in just a minute. This nail's curvature is very tight, so I'm trying to first make space underneath the nail to see if I can get the nippers up underneath there, because I know there's length I can take off, but I need to make sure that I'm not going to cut her skin. But you can see just getting underneath there with the ingrown sidewall cleaner, it's very tight even after soaking for that long. And I do want to give a disclaimer. I was checking in all the time with her to make sure that she wasn't in any pain. This woman, was super tough. It looks like I'm really going to town on her nail and like not really being very careful, but I was. It's just that because the nails was so tight, my tools were sticking in there. At any rate, I just want to let you know that I was not hurting her at any point during the pedicure service, and made sure that everything I did was within her comfort level. Okay, so this side is just twisted all the way down. It curls around and faces the opposite direction. So what I'm trying to do, and not very successfully right now, is grab the edge of the nail that's sort of curled under and rotate it out to get it lifted out of that indentation of the skin. What do you think? Am I going to get it out? It's a tough one. It is really tough. Tell me in the comments if you think I end up getting it out or not. So in just a second, you'll see me kind of gesturing around the nail right here. I'm explaining where she could get the Onifix brace, or I guess, yeah, the Onifix brace only, because the bracing that I use to correct curvatures, I don't think are going to suffice for a curvature this large. So I was telling her that the Onifix might be a good option for her because it adheres to the entire nail as opposed to just the sides of the nails. And, you know, that's something that she could try to correct the curve so that it doesn't continue to grow in this abnormal direction. So I decided that the nail was just a little bit too thick still. It was really, really difficult to get in there and manipulate it at all. So I'm taking off a little bit more thickness. Now, you have to be very careful on how much thickness you take off, especially when you have a nail this curled, because there are stress points on the places along the nail, the longitudinal axis of the nail where it starts to really curve. And so I think in the end, I ended up taking just a little bit too much off in the center. I could have spent a little bit more time on the sides, because you'll see when I go back and do a little bit more work to trim the nail that it is cracking a little bit in the longitudinal, the length of the nail on the side. And I will try and point that out to you whenever we get to that place so you can understand a little bit better what I'm talking about. But when I took the master certification course for the master pedicure with the North American School of Pedology, they taught not to take more than 50% away if it's a thick nail. Now, they didn't tell me why. I always want to know the why, and they didn't tell me the why. So my guess is because if you take away too much nail plate, then the stress of the nail where it's weakest, it can end up breaking, which is kind of what happened with this one here. But I don't think it's going to be detrimental in the end. But in the future, I'm going to be a lot more careful about how much exactly I take off on the thickened nail plates. So I took off a lot more bulk, and I think at this time I should have put her back into the water to soak just a little bit more so it'd be easier to get up in there. But you can see right where I'm pulling out at that edge, there is a stress fracture in the nail. And here's just another point that you can see the stress fracture. I couldn't believe that all this digging around did not hurt her, but she said she was not having any discomfort. So thank God, because it was a lot of work getting this out. You'll notice as I snip here, it crack up the length of the nail on this side now too. So again, I was able to trim away a lot of the nail, so it didn't actually end up mattering too much that it did splinter right there. But I think the reason was because one, this nail is super dry, so there's that. But also it's very curved, and taking away too much thickness may have been one of the reasons why it splintered. I don't know for sure because I've clipped a lot of thick nails and they splintered just as bad. So, you know, it's kind of like you kind of have to just do your best to make judgment calls in the moment. And with this case, I feel like it was okay to take that much bulk down. But again, I probably should have soaked her a little bit more so that it didn't have so much of a dry snap whenever I trimmed her nails. So at this point, I'm deciding that, man, I need to soak this foot a little bit longer. So in it goes, and I'm going to go back to the other side and give it a nice leg and foot massage. And hopefully by the time I get back to the other foot again, it'll be a little bit easier to deal with. If you are a nail tech watching this and you have ideas of what I could have done better or differently, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm all about sharing knowledge and figuring out the best, most efficient way to work on certain nail issues. So I just ask that you be kind and respectful. I know I'm not perfect. I'm not the most perfect nail tech. I want to be as the best nail tech I can be, and so I'm willing to have a discussion with you. But as long as you keep it civil, please. I'm not here to make enemies. And we're back at the nail that just keeps on giving. So thank goodness we soaked a little bit longer. We got a lot more debris to clear out from underneath this nail. With all the clients who come in for the Revive pedicure, I allot 90 minutes, up to 90 minutes for those clients, because I never know what kind of condition the nails are going to be in and what I'm going to need to do in order to help them the most that first visit. So with her, I ended up using every minute of that 90-minute. But hopefully when I see her again in July, her nails will be in much better condition, and obviously I won't have to do quite as much work. She's going to be using the Recover Nail Treatment Oil twice a day, every day, and she's going to seek out somebody who might be able to help put the Onifix brace on her nail, and that would make a huge difference too. So I can't wait to do a follow-up with this one. I cannot believe I completely missed that step. I feel so bad. Um, I must have been just talking. She was talking with me the whole time, so I think my brain was just not fully paying attention. And I don't normally do 2 soaks, so I think I was just thrown off my routine a little bit and wasn't thinking about it. So definitely not an excuse. I am going to do much better at paying attention to this type of thing in the future. And to my client, I say I'm sorry. Next time I see you, you'll get a foot file, I promise. All right, things I could have done differently to be more efficient in this pedicure. 1. Debulk her nail way more at the beginning instead of doing it halfway through. 2. Soak her foot earlier to soften the nail more, especially if I had thinned her nail out. 3. Remember to exfoliate both of her soles. 4. Anything else? Leave it in the comments and let me know. And I'm ending the pedicure with an application of the Recover Nail Treatment Oil. It has 5 different essential oils in it that are targeted for specific fungus and molds and yeasts that affect the nail primarily. And then she's going to take some home with her as well and use it twice a day, every day. And hopefully in July we'll see a much better picture. Okay, so here's the before and after shots. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something. I know I always learn something after I watch my pedicures, and I hope it helps you improve your techniques and get you're thinking about other things and other ways to do stuff. If you enjoy my content, I hope you consider subscribing and share my videos with those who you think might also enjoy it. And don't forget to click the bell for notifications so that when I post my next video, you get a notification for it. Duh. Anyway, I will see you next time and have a great day.